so many updates. What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters Allstar video. I hope you all enjoyed your weekends because boy oh boy do we have quite the video for all of you guys today. Strap in and relax, guys, because we have a lot of stuff to unpack for this August 30th update, including the newest SS banner to be added into the game, the Transcendental Battle Card System, Epic Quest Chapter 2, and so much more. It's just 4 a.m. right now. I want to go back to bed. But anyway, you guys, before we get into it, if you guys are new here and you enjoy daily King of Fighters All-Star content such as this, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, and let's go ahead and get into the August 30th update breakdown. Right off the bat, I want to let you guys know I'm not going to be spending a ton of time on the Epic Quest Chapter 2 nor the Transcendental Battle Card System in today's video. Main reason being is those two things deserve their own videos, which you guys will be seeing later on this week. So I'm going to briefly go over a few little details with those, and then you'll see a full video on them later. But let's go ahead and get into this breakdown. So right off the bat, you guys, we do have a new special signature login streak bonus, and to be honest with you guys, there's really not a whole lot to talk about here. This thing is, yeah, it's a login streak bonus for sure. So yeah, have fun with all those items, but I guess it's okay. Next up, we do have a new Imprint Stone Super Mission, and in this thing you are going to be able to get yourself a nice amount of hammers. Unfortunately, the hammers that you're going to be getting here is largely going to be the lower level hammers, so not anything too crazy. You're going to get a ton of mystery boxes for your Imprint Stones, but honestly, you guys, there's really not a whole lot here to talk about. It's nice that we're going to get those Elite Enhancement hammers, but the main reward that you're going to be getting is a selection box for these guys here, which, to be honest with you, not anything too special. It's a super mission, so just make sure you get it finished because you'll want the hammers, but otherwise not much to talk about. Now, next up, we do have a minor update to the Battle Card Dungeon, and they did add some more levels to this. Now, from what I have heard, and I cannot look at these yet because I haven't fully finished these, but as you guys can see, the CP requirements are on screen, and they aren't anything too crazy. But from what I've been told, apparently the card pool gets shallower once you get towards the end of this. I'll have to confirm that myself whenever I can play through this and actually have time to do it. But as you guys can see, you will be able to pick up all of these cards from here through a RNG system like always, but they did update it to include the SS Volume 3 banner cards and the SS Volume 1 banner cards. So very nice. If you guys get lucky, you can end up with those. You do get rubies for the first time clear, and like I said, I do think that once you get to that final tier of the difficulty, the pool gets much shallower. So good luck to all of you guys if you're planning on grinding this, but overall, good stuff. And next up here, if you guys take a look at your craft menus, you will see that we can currently craft the Chapter of Fight and the Epic Quest auto clear tickets. This is, of course, the first time that we have had auto clear tickets for Epic Quest, and it is something that we have requested forever. So it's really nice to see that they've allowed us to use these. However, it is going to cost you not only gold, but also your normal auto clear tickets in order to get these. It's going to be up to you guys as far as your inventory on your auto clear tickets as to whether or not you want to sacrifice these for these. Of course, this is a really nice functionality to be added in. However, auto clear tickets are really valuable. I know a lot of people typically are going to have a decent chunk of those laying around, but it is a situation where you want to keep in mind future world drop events. We do currently still have a world drop event going on, and so on and so forth. So it's up to you guys and what your inventory looks like, but this is something that is really nice to see and something worth taking advantage of. And next up here, you guys, we have what everybody is going to find to be their favorite thing about this update, the Battle Card Carnival event. Am I right? Am I right? Okay, I'm wrong. You guys hate it. I hate it too, so if it makes you guys feel any better. So overall, as you guys are aware, we do have a new carnival. It is going to be for battle cards, so basically anytime you summon a card, whether it is going to be through tickets or tokens or just using your rubies, you will be able to go ahead and get points towards this mileage. The rewards on here this time around aren't anything special. In fact, most of the stuff is going to be mystery boxes for the most part. And of course, we had all expected to see a generic SS memory on here. However, we'll get to to that, there is probably a big reason as to why they did not put that on here this time around, and I don't necessarily think it's worth the trade-off. But as you guys can see, if you finish this thing up, you will be able to go ahead and pick one of these cards. So basically the Serena set here, if you are going to be PvE based, is going to be what you want to go for. Otherwise, if you're a champs person, Part-Timer of Promise is an amazing set for championship, but it's going to be up to you guys what you want to use that on. There is going to be a repeat reward that is really not honestly anything all that special. As you guys can see, it's just going to be a best memory selector that is for the generics. So yeah guys, if you have a bunch of cards in your inventory inbox, you can go ahead and claim those now and get your credit towards your mileage. But that is pretty much what we're looking at with this. I'm pretty disappointed in this thing, especially considering the fact that I get the feeling the reason why we don't have the generic on here is going to be because of the current method that they have added in with this update that we're going to talk about here. But overall, you guys, good luck with this thing. It shouldn't be all that crazy to get through. It is a decent chunk of change in order to do so as far as the mileage points that go into this. So good luck to all of you guys. At least it's not a situation where I feel like this is a must finish for pretty much everybody. But that is going to be the Carnival. Meh. And speaking of, here is why they probably didn't give us a free one this time around. So as you guys can see, you can currently go ahead and use the Dimension Exchange in order to get up to 2 generic SS memories. However, it is going to be fairly costly, as the only thing that you can use in order to go ahead and build these is 3 SS memories from any previous SS fighter. So basically, if you go ahead and pull some SS memories for characters you don't plan on building, you can go ahead and parlay those into a generic if you want to, and you can do that up to 2 times. So I don't feel like this is necessarily a fair trade-off, especially considering the fact I don't know how many people are going to want to use this, but it is there if you want to go ahead and do that. So cool. Next up, we have a new Rush Dungeon event to coincide with the Special Signature Volume 3 banner, and basically this is going to be the exact same as what we are normally used to. You're going to have 3 different chapters. My suggestion is always to wait until the last chapter opens up to go ahead and grind this, but pretty much, as you guys can see, these are going to be the characters and cards you can use in order to increase your gains for your coin drops. Now, of course, when it comes to the coin drops, what can you get this time around? Can you get a bunch of boxes for the Special Signature Stones, the memories? Oh, okay. So this is what you can get, guys. Basically a whole lot of stuff. Yeah, really the biggest thing here is going to be the rare enhancement hammers on a 5 per day chance, so you can get 5 of these per day if you want to go ahead and grind this thing. I highly recommend picking those up. As far as the rest of this stuff, it's largely up to you guys. I'm sure there's plenty of things in here for people out there who are still in need of some of these items, so not much for me to tell you guys. Just pick up what you need. That's pretty much all there is to it, but everybody should at least get the hammers. And now, of course, we have the Transcendental Battle Card System. So I'm going to try and walk you guys through this really fast, but we are going to be doing a dedicated video to this topic later on this week, so keep that in mind. I'm not going to go into every single detail in today's video, but when it comes to the Transcendental Battle Card System, basically what you will need is you will need for your 6-star cards, you will need a card of the same grade in order to feed to it, as you see me doing here with my KoF finisher, and if you feed a card to it, you will upgrade or transcend the card to the next Awakening Star level, and these go up to 6. I believe that 5-star cards are going to go up to 5, and those are going to require 2 5-star cards as a material, whereas your 6-star cards will require 1. But overall, what you are getting with this is going to be a pretty nice buff to your CP overall, but you're also going to get, as you see here, a random effect added to your card each time you feed a card or cards to this card to transcend it. So basically what you'll need to do is you'll need to skill enhance and level up the card with each corresponding transcendent level, and then you can go ahead and transcend to the next one. Each time you do that, you will get a random buff added to the card, and you can pick or choose which one you want. Now, if you pick one, you are stuck with it until you update it to the next transcendent level, or you feed another card to it, so keep that in mind. So basically the way this works is very akin to something I'm used to in Grand Summoners, where we call it the crest system, but basically you're going to get a random buff each time you feed something to it, and you can't control which buff you're going to get. The only thing that you can control is which one you choose. You can either choose to keep the current buff, or you can switch over to the new one, but once you have switched over, you cannot go back and change it back. So overall, you're going to have a lot of RNG with this, so yay. But when it comes to this isn't necessarily all that bad. It really just means that we are going to have plenty of options in order to get rid of all of these extra cards that we have clogging up our inventories all the time. But overall with this, I'm pretty happy with it, I suppose. Now, whenever you get yourself to the max Transcendent level, like I said, you can continue to feed cards to it, but you are not going to be able to continue to upgrade past tier 6 or 5 or whatever the case may be, depending on the grade of card that we're looking at. So as you guys can see here, this is going to max this card out, and then after that I can continue to feed cards to it, but all I'm going to be able to do is potentially update the effect that I get for my effect on my Transcended card. So I'm not going to get any further enhancements to my stats, nor am I going to get any further enhancements for my card as far as leveling it up, but I can go ahead and pick a different buff if I want to, and that's how you can stop from getting stuck with a buff you don't want once you've hit the max cap. So that is pretty much what we know about this system right now. Like I said, you guys, I am going to do a full video later on giving you guys a full breakdown on this system, but as it sits right now, not too bad. We'll have to wait and see, but so far I'm not hating it, so there's that. And speaking of topics that are going to require their own video later on this week, Epic Quest Chapter 2, you guys, it's finally here. Now, big thing to keep in mind here is there is still a World Drop event going on for the next 2 days for the False Resurrection Chris event. You guys want to make sure that you take full advantage of that in here, but as you can see, it has officially arrived. I am excited to get into this thing, but as you guys can see here, these are going to be your different perk characters. If you want to use these on your teams whenever you are grinding on this thing, you will get some extra added bonuses. But overall, you guys, like I said at the beginning, I am going to go into this in more detail in a separate video later on. I want more time to sit down and actually look at this thing. Like, for instance, these Imprint stones. We have new Imprint stones, and there's quite a few different ones from the looks of it. So this one here is going to decrease damage received by 6% for 5 seconds when a Phantom Nest character is attacked, and as you guys can see, we are going to have similar bonuses to what we're used to. All of these Imprint stones actually look really good, to be honest with you guys. I'm curious to see what the other ones do. I haven't seen those yet. Never mind, I lied, guys, because there's an exchange shop and I can actually take a look at them. But the first thing that you're going to see in here is you can actually get the memories for these BS fighters. So in the future, if we're able to exchange 3 random BS memories for a generic BS memory whenever a BS banner is running, this is basically going to mean that once per month you're going to be able to pile up a couple memories for 1 free generic memory when the Boss Syndrome banners come around. So this is kind of how this is looking. This is going to work. So it's going to be determinant upon how good these characters are as to whether or not we want to do that with those, but it's an option. But when it comes to the stones, like we were just talking about, you are going to have the increase to Phantom Nest Fighter's blast skill damage by 1.5% on the square imprint stone. So overall, really good, and it looks like these are going to retain all of the different perks that they're going to have across the board on all of the other skills. So all of these are looking identical except for the second skill on these. And then if we go ahead and take a look at the Hexagon stone, this one is going to increase Phantom Nest Fighter's active skill damage by 1%. So all of these are looking really good, you guys. Honestly, these characters, for being free characters, being the fact that we have all these stones for them, they're probably going to be really good for free-to-play characters. So free-to-play players, I know it's going to be a grind and I know it's going to be tough, but they're going to be worth it for you, it looks like. Now, when it comes to these other ones, we do have Moon and Star imprint stones as well. If we take a look at the Moon stones here, it's looking like this one's going to increase target's damage received by 4% for 5 seconds when a Phantom Nest fighter lands an active skill. Again, the fact that these characters have their own designated Moon and Star stones is going to mean that these characters are going to actually probably be really good. I'm just double checking here, but yeah, it looks like all the stats are the same across the board. It's just the effects that change. And then finally here on the Star Stone, you are going to increase Phantom Nest Fighter's critical rate by 1%. And of course, these are all at the low level, so this is just the starting stats. But overall, guys, these look really good. These characters are probably going to be really strong with a full set of stones on them. I figured I'd go ahead and interject this here, but I just discovered this as I was browsing around through all this stuff. So yeah, guys, looking pretty good overall, so make sure you use this Dimension Exchange shop, but this is going to bode well for the future, especially for BS memories if we can craft them later on. But let's get back to it. But then again, this update just dropped, so not much I can do about that, but there are quite a few different ones in here. Actually, there's a couple of different effects for the first effect on each one of these circle stones. So as you guys can see here, this one's actually going to affect your penetration, and then the other effects are all going to be the same. So yeah, you guys, these stones don't look too bad. There's even one here for crit, so you're going to get crit damage instead of the penetration or the attack like on those previous two. So with these imprint stones, I'm curious to see what the other two tiers do. I'm sure that by the time I get this video uploaded, I'll already know what that information is, but as of right now, I'm not quite sure. Like I said, this stuff's brand new, but I am going to be doing a full video on this later on. But let's go ahead and talk about the first Boss Syndrome character. Yeah, that's right, a Boss Syndrome character in Epic Quest, because we have Phantom Invader Maxima. Now, he is a purple balance type that obtains 6% power when a Nest fighter defeats an enemy, and this character in general, from what I can tell, is going to be tailor-made for time attack, specifically for balance weeks. There's a lot going on in this kit for power, and you're about to see that. So if we take a look at the cores here, we are going to have a 12% grab attack skill damage increase. You're going to have an increase to your damage by 18% on a critical hit. We have a buff to our defense. We have a buff to our blast skill damage, but then we have a 20% power charge rate increase, which is really nice to see. We also are going to have an increase to our attack by 840. And then we have Twisted World that gives us super armor for 3 seconds when attacked on a cooldown of 10 seconds, and a 100% chance to reset the cooldowns of all of your actives when you use an ultimate move. And then Phantom Invader increases damage by 70% for 5 seconds if the target's HP is 50% or higher upon landing an attack. And then the exclusive core where he is going to gain power when he's in guard, and then the PvP exclusive of gaining super armor for 3 seconds when his accumulated attack received, guard included, reaches 5 times on a cooldown of 20 seconds. So overall, he has a reset in there. He has plenty of power charge. He is going to have some power charge on his guard stance as well. And this character, when we get into the skills, you'll see why I think he's going to be great for time attack. But on the S1, he increases attack by 50% of defense for 7 seconds when using a skill, and all team members obtain 7% power upon use. Now on the S2, he's going to inflict damage equal to 806% of attack to an enemy, and use this to increase attack by 35% for 7 seconds, with a PvP exclusive of disabling the target's active skills for 4 seconds upon landing a skill. And then finally, he's going to have hyper armor with an interrupt on the S3, with a PvP exclusive to remove buffs from the target's active skills upon landing a skill. So this character in general, like I said, you guys, if you take a look at him, he is definitely looking like he is going to be wonderful for time attack balance weeks. So I think that this character is going to be great there, but I don't see a whole lot of other uses for him. Now you will see all members obtain 15% power upon using his finisher as well. So again, this character is tailor-made for that mode. I don't necessarily think he is going to be anything outside of a really strong budget option for budget players as far as that is concerned for all other PvE modes, but you never know with those other stones, he might end up being even better. Now if we take a look at the finisher card does have a effect of obtaining 10% power when using it, and it's a 3PG. This is great to see for this character. I don't necessarily know all of the other characters' kits yet or their cards, so we'll have to wait and see on those. Like I said, I'm going to do a whole dedicated video to the new Epic Quest, but when it comes to this, basically whenever he uses his finisher, he's going to reset his skills and he's going to get 10% power back. So overall, this character I think is going to be a really good budget option. I don't really see a whole lot of uses for him across all the different PvE modes in the world because he's definitely not made for that, but I do think that for time attack at least, this is going to be a really strong character. So that is pretty much what we're looking at with all of this, you guys. I'm pretty happy with Maxima for the most part. At least he has a niche use, especially as a free character, and we'll go ahead and get into this later on, and I will bring you guys a full video breaking all this down in detail and giving you guys a guide later on. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the other two Phantom Nest characters, which is going to first up be here Phantom Ruler Ignis. Now he is going to be a yellow attack type with a leadership skill that increases Nest fighters' attack by 60% and decreases their HP by 5%. This is a very, very good leadership skill for an already very good Nest team, and he has a very good typing as well, so big winner here on both fronts. Now when we take a look at the cores are going to boast a 30% power charge rate increase with a critical rate increase of increasing damage by 18% on a critical hit, an increase to attack, an increase to grab skill attack damage, an 8% strike skill attack damage increase, and a 3.2% critical rate increase. On the exclusive cores, we have Twisted Thought, which casts a shield that absorbs damage for 7 seconds upon landing inactive and removes the shield when attacked 20 times on a cooldown of 15 seconds, and a PvP exclusive of disabling the attacker's active skills for 4 seconds when attacked on a cooldown of 18 seconds. And then finally, on Phantom Ruler, he increases active skill damage dealt to enemies affected by darkness or starlight by 60%, and then of course the exclusive core that all these characters share. This character is really great, guys, for a free-to-play unit. I'm gonna tell you right now, I've already seen the skills. The cores themselves are already pretty darn good, but when we look at the skills, this character is really good. Now he has a 30% chance to reset his cooldowns when using a skill. He can also increase his attack by 37% for 7 seconds and applies Blackout all on his S1. So this is a free-to-play unit that, yes, will be tough to grind out and get for some people, but he has Blackout, and it gets better because he also has Radiant damage. Now on the S2, he decreases damage received by 85% for 3 seconds and increases the target's damage received by 30% for 7 seconds upon landing a skill, and of course the Radiant damage, as I just mentioned. Yeah, man, this is a good free-to-play unit. And then he also has on the S3 Hyper Armor and a 60% chance to remove the target's super or hyper armor, and this is an interrupt. So basically he has an interrupt with Hyper Armor. He can also remove the target's super or hyper armor. That's really not necessarily a big deal outside of PvP, but all in all, for a free-to-play unit, especially knowing what we know about the stones, this character is really, really powerful, and I think that a lot of people are going to be very happy with the performance of this character as a free-to-play unit. So yeah, they're going to give you a lot to think about if you guys think you're just going to exchange these memories for generics. But moving on now to Iron Man, Phantom Gatekeeper 0, I prefer Iron Man, but he is a green defense with a leadership ability that increases Nest fighters' attack by 45% and power charge rate by 20%. I don't think you guys need me to tell you how good that leadership ability is, because that is a very, very good leadership ability. Keep in mind, guys, there's a lot of Nest characters in the game, so these leaders are very good. Now, when we go ahead and move on to the cores, he is going to increase darkness attack damage by 30%. He's going to have a 2.4% critical rate increase, an increase to damage by 30% on a critical hit, a 6% blast skill attack damage increase, a 20% power charge rate increase, and an increase to his attack by 840. Now when we move on to the exclusives, well, first up here, let me point out one thing. He doesn't have that 30%. I figured I'd point that out. He doesn't have the 30% to his power charge, but he does have 20, so keep that in mind, but still really good regardless. So on Twisted Counterattack, he's going to restore HP by 3% every 1 second for 5 seconds when attacked while in fear on a cooldown of 45 seconds. He's going to reset the skill cooldown of Glaugen upon landing an attack on a stun target on a cooldown of 10 seconds, and resets the skill cooldown of Glaugen upon landing an attack on a target in darkness on a cooldown of 10 seconds. And then finally, on Phantom Gatekeeper, he increases active skill damage dealt to enemies affected by darkness by 80%, and then has the exclusive core that they all have. Overall, this is another really, really solid character for free-to-plays. Again, I know these characters are going to be tough for a lot of free-to-plays to grind out. However, the grind will be worth it, and you'll be handsomely rewarded. Both the last two characters we talked about, very good. Now, on the S1, he is going to have Hyper Armor for 3 seconds with an interrupt on Glaugen. Now, this is a skill that you can reset with your cores, so overall, really good stuff to start out. On the S2, he is going to have a stun for the target for 3 seconds upon landing it, and increases the target's damage received by 26% for 7 seconds upon landing a skill. Then finally, on the S3, he is going to increase his attack by 35% for 8 seconds, and have Blackout. So he's going to have the tier 2 version of Darkness in the form of Blackout, which you always like to see, yet another free-to-play unit with Darkness. And of course, he's going to have that PvP exclusive with that 60% chance to remove Hyper or Super Armor. Overall, another really solid free-to-play unit. I think Ignis, in my opinion, is probably my favorite of the three, just going off of what I'm seeing here so far. But overall, you guys, all three of these characters deliver, and I'm sure we'll have much more to talk about when we get them in our hands, but that's my initial take. Now, of course, all of this brings us to the main event, which is banners. Banners everywhere. So we have a rerun banner as well as a new special signature banner to talk about. So we'll start with the rerun. So the rerun of SS Volume 1 is officially here, and it brings along with it SS Mai and Athena, as well as their original banner for their cards. Now, really the way you want to approach this, you guys, is if you already have both of these characters and you just need a couple more memories to max them out, then it's probably worth it, because at that point you still have their original stone. However, unlike with the SS Volume 3 currently, if this is the first time you're pulling for these characters, you are not going to be able to get the SS Volume 1 stones for them, which hurts their performance a ton, so keep that in mind. That is something that is a big consideration on whether you pull. Now, when it comes to the card banner itself, when it comes to the Fighting Idol set, this is a really good set for defensive-based units. However, I do not deem this as a must-have. I have had this set for quite a long time, ever since its initial run, and I am not necessarily going to sit here and tell you guys you're going to miss it if you don't have it, but it is a really good set. Now, when it comes to the fancy female ninja option card, this is extremely good for female fighters whenever you're tagging in and out, so things like Guild Raid or other modes that you're going to be tagging in and out of, such as the Spider Robot, you'll really like to have this card. I don't think that this is a must-have either, so really none of the cards on here outside of the finishers, because if you have the character, you definitely want the finishers, which we'll talk about. But overall with these, I don't think these are must-haves, but they're really nice and they're really good cards. But overall, when it comes to the finishers, like I said, you'll want these if you have the characters. These are extremely good. So when it comes to these characters, do I think you should pull on them? Probably not, in my opinion. I think that you're better off just skipping these right now. You don't get the stones if you pull the characters. And honestly, if you've never pulled on this banner, the value just isn't there to me. I think you're better off going for some of the newer characters or waiting for another rerun, because both of these characters have been power crept, but they're both great. And if it's a favorite, always pull. But let's go ahead now and move on to the main event of the video, which is of course the SS Volume 3 banner. Is it everything that's all cracked up to be? Is the excitement worth it? Well, we're about to find out, and we're going to start out here with K. So right off the bat here, K is going to be a red balance type, which is extremely good for high levels of reviving Hell's Dungeon, and also makes him a wonderful addition to the game, considering the fact that our red balance options prior to this were not necessarily the greatest. And his leadership skill increases all-star fighters' attack by 55% and decreases their HP by 5%. This is an extremely good leadership skill, a fantastic leadership skill, and one that you can use on a plethora of different characters. Now, if we move on over to the cores now, as you guys can see, he is going to have that 30% power charge rate increase, a 2.4% critical rate increase. He's going to have an increase to his attack, a 15% burn attack damage increase. He's going to enhance the damage for his strike active skills. He's also going to have a critical damage rate increase here of 24% on a critical hit. So this character, you can already tell, just wants to do a lot of damage and apply burns. He really isn't trying to do anything fancy, and that is going to bear itself out throughout this kit. So really, when it comes to the cores, these are pretty good stuff. Now, if we look here, the exclusive cores for Nest's Annihilation decreases the cooldowns of his active skills by 0.4 seconds upon landing a skill on a burn target, and increases burn damage by 90% when Kula is on the team. So this is something very akin to what we saw with SS Iori and Kyo. Basically, you'll want Kula on the team either as a striker or on the team proper, and he will get that 90% increase. Now, in Bursting Flame, he casts that shield that absorbs damage for 7 seconds upon using an active skill, and removes the shield after being attacked 20 times on a cooldown of 15 seconds. And the SS Volume 3 exclusive core of gaining power whenever he's in guard and decreasing damage received by 70% for 3 seconds when accumulated attacks received, guard included, reaches 5 times on a cooldown of 20 seconds. So we love to see that shield. That thing is actually OP because it cannot be removed and it actually affects your gravity. So that's an amazing little buff. And overall, when it comes to the exclusive, also really good. Now, when we take a look at the skills, he is going to have hyper armor on the S1. Now, this will be the derived skill, so bear with me, we have a lot to say. But we have hyper armor, and then this is also an interrupt on Ein trigger, so really nice stuff. And if we take a look at the first derived skill on there, he is going to increase his penetration by 1400 for 7 seconds, with a 70% chance to reset the cooldown of Ein trigger EX upon landing a skill. So basically, right off the bat here, he has hyper armor, he has an interrupt, he has a reset, he has a penetration increase. Yeah, this character likes to do damage, that's for sure. Now, the last derived skill is going to be used to increase your attack by 35% for 7 seconds, as well as applying Infernal Flame, which is of course the step up from a normal burn dot. Overall, a really good first skill, or first skills. How do I want to say that? This is going to be weird for a while until I get used to it. But moving on now, finally, to the S2 after talking about 3... God, that's a lot of skills. He is going to have a stun for the target for 3 seconds upon landing a skill, guard included, and increases the target's damage received by 26% for 7 seconds upon landing a skill. So this is basically going to allow him to do more damage, and he has a stun, which you'll love to see. And then on the final skill, he is going to deal burn damage equal to 1.8 times the remaining burn damage on the target and remove burn effect when attacking a burned enemy. So this is going to be Burn Explosion with a 60% chance to remove the target's super armor or hyper armor upon landing a hit on a target that is going to have either of those. So overall, you guys, this character, really good. This is going to be an amazing damage dealer, especially as a balance type unit. You can already see where this character's going. He is probably going to be an amazing side option to a character like SS Kyo, and I do think that this character over the next few days we're going to see some really nutty damage out of. Now finally, on his finisher, he does deal burn damage equal to 31% of attack every 1 second for 8 seconds upon landing a skill, so he has more burn apps on his core finisher. You'll love to see it. So overall, SSK, this character does a lot of damage. This character is a bruiser. He is a sheer DPS, and this is a character that I think that if you have missed out on a lot of the top tier burn characters out there, such as Angel of Paradise Honoka, SS Honoka, of course SS Kyo, even SS Mai, so on and so forth, this is going to be a wonderful option for you. Really good character, very strong leadership skill, great all around. Now, when it comes to Kula, we have Kula here, and basically with this character, you are going to have a blue defense, which is of course, again, great for high levels of a Reviving Hell's Dungeon, and she has a leadership skill that increases the attack of all fighters by 45%. So her leadership skill, while not the greatest thing in the world, isn't bad either. There are going to be way better leaders out there, but she is going to be really good in a pinch. So overall, not too shabby, nowhere near as strong as her counterpart K, but you like to see it. Now with the cores, she does have that 30% power charge rate increase with a critical damage rate up of increasing damage by 18% on a critical hit. She has an increase to her attack. She has continuous damage enhanced to her chill, which increases chill attack damage by 15%. She's going to have an 8% blast skill attack damage increase and an increase to her defense. On her exclusive cores, she's going to decrease the cooldowns of all of her active skills by 0.3 seconds upon landing a skill on a chilled target, and increases chill damage by 120% when K is on the team. So again, if he's on Striker or going to be on the team proper, getting a big buff there. Then on Frosthair, she casts that shield, again, same thing as K, and then finally the special signature exclusive core for these characters is the same as well. So a lot of parity here between these two characters. I really like to see both of these characters have that decrease of their cooldowns of their active skills whenever they land a skill on a target that is going to be affected by their respective buffs. These characters are both going to deal a lot of damage, you can already tell, even with their typings considered. Both both of these characters are going to be sheer damage dealers, I get the feeling. Time will tell, like I said. I think Kay is definitely going to be out DPSing her, but both of them are probably going to be great. Now, as far as the skills are concerned, we're going to start off with Lay Spin EX that gives her hyper armor and is also an interrupt. So I'm again seeing a lot of parity here, but moving on now, because this is a derived skill, we have a derived chain here to go through. So the first skill here is going to increase penetration by 1500 for 7 seconds with a 70% chance to reset your cooldowns whenever you land Lay Spin EX. And then we also have Lay Spin Stand, which is going to increase your attack by 50% of your defense for 7 seconds when using a skill, and apply Cold Spell, which is going to be the tier 2 dot for chill. So again, a lot of parity, but both of these characters on these derived skills are going to have tons of effects, tons of perks in their kit. This is the best part of derived skills so far, is the fact that you're going to get all of these extra effect bonuses that you wouldn't have had before. Not to mention the fact that on your awakening rotation, you're going to have so many skills to spam, so great stuff overall. Now on Diamond Breath EX, she increases the target's damage received by 30% for 7 seconds upon landing a skill, and this is a freeze for 3 seconds. And then she also, on her S3, deals chill damage equal to 2.6 times of remaining chill damage, and removes chill effect when attacking a chilled enemy, so she has Explosion with a 50% chance to remove the target's super or hyper armor. Wow, a lot of parity. I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of parity. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing for either of these characters, considering they're both so good, and it continues when you get to the finisher, because she deals chill damage equal to 33% of attack to the target every 1 second for 10 seconds upon landing a skill. So overall, what do I think of both of these characters? I don't necessarily think these are must-owns if you already have a lot of options for burn, especially. With chill, that is a little bit weirder, but we've gone over the reasons why, because there's just not a lot of content to use chill on. However, if you need a chill character, this is the best one in the game currently, even with the explosion. And speaking of explosion, the explosion on Kay, or just both of these characters in general, explosion is something that you don't like to see necessarily, especially in things such as Guild Raid, because you want to keep the dot applied. It isn't going to make or break either of these characters in the long run, however it is something that could hurt their performance, so maybe keep that in mind. But overall, if you guys are missing out on a bunch of these previously released characters, I think you go for this banner, especially if you need a good DPS burn option. Kay is just going to be an amazing burn monster, and I bet you Kula is right up there as well as a chill-based unit. So now moving on to the cards. The cards, there is going to be a lot of love for me on. I like this card banner a lot, and we're going to talk about all of the reasons why I really like all of these cards here, but I do want to show you guys one thing real quick, and I've already mentioned it briefly, but just to reiterate, if you go over to your event tab, if you're pulling for these characters currently, you can get their stones for awakening them. So at awakening level 1, you can get the circle imprint stone for these characters, and so on and so forth. In fact, on the 4th awakening tier, you're going to get some elite enhancement hammers, and on the final tier, you are going to get 1,000 rubies. So if you guys are going for these characters, this is a big reason why I don't recommend going in on SS Volume 1 right now, because you cannot get those stones this way, but with the Volume 3 characters, you can. So keep that in mind. But let's talk about the cards. We're going to start out with the set, and this is going to be Bring Some Ice Cream, and this is going to increase attack by 7% per card, and increases special signature fighters burn and chill damage by 75%, with an increase to damage by 20% for 5 seconds when a special signature fighter lands an active skill. So just looking at it on face value, this card set seems like it's going to be extremely good for your special signature fighters, particularly the ones that have burn and chill. However, being the fact that it does require you to have a special signature fighter that has one of those 2 dots in order to get much use out of it, I don't necessarily think that this is a must-own set. It is very good, and I do see it having its uses. However, I do have a hard time believing that an Akane set or some of the sets that we've already had in the past that are current popular sets are going to be usurped by this in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that this is in any way bad. I just don't see it necessarily outperforming all of those other sets currently. Now, of course, once we get this set in our hands after we've pulled on this banner, we can let you guys know and do damage comparisons across the board to see how that measures up. However, at the end of the day, when it comes to this, I think that as it sits right now, this is just going to be another set that is a nice to have type of situation, and if you end up with it, then you're in good shape and you'll be happy to have it. However, if you miss out on it, I don't think that you are going to be missing out on anything that you can't replace, but that's just my knee-jerk reactions. Time will tell. But it continues to be quality, because next we're going to look at what is my favorite card art in the entire game. Just look at this card art. It is so good. Anyway, this is going to be What Are Friends, and this is going to increase your attack by 5% and decrease your skill cooldowns by 1.2 seconds. So that is really good right off the bat because it's a cooldown reduction card, but it gets better because it increases Special Signature Fighters' critical rate by 7%. So suffice it to say, you guys, this is definitely going to be one of the best option cards that we have seen added in quite a while. In my opinion, this is a card that you are going to want a couple of copies of, especially if you lack the Gintama option card, because that has been gone for quite a while, and I know a lot of people out there miss having the chance at getting it. So this is going to be a straight upgrade as long as it is going to be attached to a special signature fighter. You're going to get more crit rate, you're going to get that attack increase, you're going to get that skill cooldown reduction. So overall, this is an amazing card, in my opinion, probably the best card on this entire banner outside of the finishers. Good stuff, you guys. Definitely want that. But when it comes to the finishers, let's take a look here, because we have a 3 PG for K, and this is going to deal additional burn damage equal to 200% of attack upon landing it. This is a very long card animation. This is a full screen from what I can tell. It is a cinematic. This is going to be a wonderful must-have for your SSK if you're pulling for him. You want to make sure you get this. This is a great finisher. Make sure you guys go for this. Do not invest on characters if you can't get their 3 PGs always, especially when they're this good. But the quality when it comes to that finisher continues over to the Kula one, because this one's going to be pretty much similar to 3 PG that deals additional chill damage equal to 200% of attack upon landing it. So again, you guys, as I've already said, make sure that you get both of these finishers. If you're planning on going for these characters, you want these finishers. Trust me, you need them. They are going to be treating you wonderfully, and you'll miss out on a ton of performance from your SS characters if you don't have them. So that is going to be it, you guys. Overall, what are my takeaways on these banners? SS Volume 3 is extremely good. It is a very strong banner. The cards especially are wonderful. When it comes to the characters, both of them are going to be top tier, I'm sure. We'll have to wait and see how the performance bears itself out. I definitely think it's a better investment than Volume 1, unless you have a personal favorite here. Otherwise, always go for your personal favorites. But I do think that Volume 3 is the way to go if you're wanting to spend right now. So that would be my recommendation, mainly because you can get the stones. But again, if you've already gone in on Volume 1 and just need memories, there is that consideration to be made there, so maybe consider doing it at that point if you already have the stones from Volume 1, but otherwise, for everybody else, just go for Volume 3. Even the card banner, in my opinion, is going to be better, so that is pretty much where I'm coming from when it comes to this stuff. We'll have to wait and see as far as what these things are able to do whenever we get them in our hands and see what the performance is like. But that is going to be the video, you guys. There are some miscellaneous things that I didn't cover in this video, but we're already at 30+ minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and call it a video here. We'll go ahead and do a full video on Epic Quest Chapter 2 and the Transcendental Battle Card System over the course of the coming days, so stay tuned for those. But I don't want to make this a 45-minute video. But anyway, you guys, if you enjoyed it and found it informative, like, share, and subscribe. Good luck on all of your summons. Let me know in the comments section how they went if you've already done so, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.